What is going on, guys? It is Josh back with JF Trading. Hope everyone is doing well. As you can see on this chart right now, we've got a beautiful picture of NVIDIA. If this isn't just the most absurd chart in the world, I don't know what is. What a run. This thing is up just incredible amounts. I'd be willing to bet it's up some of the most of any listed stock on the market right now. But NVIDIA, you got to stay away. If you guys don't own this thing, just take it off your list. There's no point in buying this now. This thing is on the run. Big move. I think we'll see a pullback eventually if the markets start to roll over a little bit with all this political tension right now. Trump's, on a roll right now doing some dumb shit. So let's see what happens with him and that. Definitely a possibility to spur the market. Home Depot is another beautiful uptrending stock. I love this. If you guys can see this right here, this little big wick, it's basically 90% of all the stocks out there have had that horrible shakeout day. August 24th of 2014. I'll never forget that day. JetBlue gapped down 30% and finished the day green. It was absurd. But let's jump into the technicals. If you guys can see, this almost looks like the chart on the SPYs. So we have these two relative highs right here at the $70 level, and we had a base that traded around it for a little bit as it slowly creeped higher. And then I think it was an earnings announcement, but we shot up, and the stock's been on a run since and hasn't really pulled back. Home Depot, you guys all know the stock, you all know the company, you all shop there. Phenomenal brand. They make a lot of money. They're run very, very well. It's a very well-run, oiled machine, and the stock is has quite the inflated values right now. So I mean, technically speaking, levels we could watch out for would be somewhere around the 155 mark. Obviously down here by the 154s as well. But we're slowly just trending higher. We had some decent volume above the 50-day average yesterday. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we just follow these markets, because the markets and gold and crude are both straight up. So we're trading marginally higher this morning on the SPYs. Nothing fantastic. But if you could see, we had that opening morning rally, and it really held for the rest of the day, probably 60-something% of it. So interesting move to say the least. We're really just testing new highs at this point. The next level on the SPYs for me would be 246, 247-ish. It's the next level that I see some resistance coming into play. We're kind of far away from it, though. It's very interesting to see how far we've come in the markets over the last couple of years. Let's pull up gold. Gold's doing its thing, guys. Bouncing off of the lows here. I don't know why my pivot went away. It's kind of strange. Put it back there. But yeah, we're trading higher. Let's see if we can consolidate back into maybe this 1240 range. If we can trade there sideways for a little bit, that give me some confidence that this is gonna head higher. Not entirely sure. I don't think anyone ever is, but there's a good certainty that if the stock trades into the 1240s, 1250s, we will see higher gold prices. As for oil, quite the move in oil from 45 to 50 basically in a matter of days. There's announcements, I believe, today, and if you guys can see, it's still fighting it out with this bottom fan trend line here. Has yet to crack that level again, which is interesting. It's funny how these trend lines will sometimes really play the stocks very well to the cent. To the cent, they will bounce off certain levels. But just interesting stock or interesting commodity, I should say. This is crude. Let's pull up real quick the year and the years there. So we've cracked the 110 level. If you guys have been paying attention, we gapped up, then sold off with the Macron victory, and we're just full circle right back. So we're above the highs of that gap up, and now we are going to need to plot some different levels. So the next level that I see, or I've seen, if you zoom out on the weekly, will be to get back to the maybe 112s, 113s. If we can get back into that level, into the range we traded in for the last 2-3 years, then odds are this thing will, maintain the momentum and trade a little higher. To be honest, though, I had the euro sinking pretty drastically. I had it going below parity for quite some time there. I actually caught this big short on I think it was like 90,000, 100,000 euro block. It wasn't a lot, but I made a couple grand because I held it for a couple hundred pips. It was quite the move. But if you can see, I mean, we're just still in this relative range from $1.15 to $1. So it's probably smart to maybe play a range-bound trade or write a straddle, buy a straddle, do one of those funky option strategies, whatever works, whatever floats the boat. Let's see what else is trending on stock twats for all you bag holders and snowflakes. Ford, all the auto stocks have not been keeping up with the markets, to say the least. I think that has not felt the momentum of the overall Trump rally. Could be a good sign, could be a bad sign, the overall weakness in the auto stocks. But Ford is Ford, everyone knows that, and we are actually coming up on a pretty significant level. Um, the $10 level is going to be a big one. It's always a psychological level for any stock, but especially for Ford, just because we have these two pivots and bottoms down here. So if we can crack that, then we've completed the basically triangle-looking thing lower, right, into the next trend line, into the next setup. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Ford stock or auto stocks, home appliance stocks, and what was the other one I spoke about? ETRM, no? No, it's the penny stock. All right, guys. Well, look, appreciate you watching. This has been a lousy video. I haven't had my coffee in this morning. Thanks for watching. If I messed anything up, please comment down below. If you want to recommend any stocks, also suggest those. If not, I will be back with you guys tonight for the aftermarket bell. Thanks, guys. Good luck trading. Build the wall.
What is going on, guys? It is Josh back with JF Trading. Hope the day is going well. We are in such an incredible market right now. We are trading higher, all-time highs again. We've tested them early this morning, only to sell off back down to that pivot we were discussing in the earlier video. Insane movements in tech stocks. The QQQ's all-time highs. But first, let's jump into BABA. BABA's posting all-time highs today. Very interesting move. All of these sort of stocks, the Chinese retailers have all been in favor the last couple of weeks. A lot of those stocks have begun running. You can pull up JD and a number of others. So there's been some relative strength in the overseas market. I think that has something to do with Donald Trump not labeling them currency manipulators anymore. I think investors foresee more favorable trade terms. So they're bidding the stock higher. BABA is just obviously the forefront, the leader. If you guys can see, we're at some just incredibly inflated levels. So we're basically we're just above the high of the 120s here now. So we're at $124.22. Let's see if we can continue this momentum higher. I mean, it just seems these prices seem so lofty and so elevated that it almost doesn't seem right. So let's see what we get out of these coming stocks, guys, or out of the next couple of weeks, out of the moves we see. I'm just trying to see if there's any trending higher. Doesn't look like it. These things are just running. It's just a matter of institutions and hedge funds and all these guys piling in, dumping their cash into certain stocks like these. But from BABA, let's jump over to NVIDIA. Also another tech stock that just doesn't even look like a real chart. These stocks have been so in favor, it's just out of control. We're posting a doji today, though, which is a weird, interesting sign. So it had a gap above the 4-day span or the 4-day run, and we're having a doji on the 5th day. So a lot of the times when that happens and we get a gap and the actual closing price is above the previous day's high, it's definitely a signal to sell. Could be a nice sell confirmation. Let's see what happens in the aftermarket session, pre-market session tomorrow. Could be some big orders that will take the stock in a certain direction and start the trend for the day. I feel like that's how a lot of it happens. Is the institutions and hedge funds and all those big guys, they get in early and then they more or less dictate whether or not the stock goes up or down for the rest of the day, just because of their algos. So if they have a 400,000 share position that they're looking to buy, they're not just going to smack the offer for 400K. They're going to put out an algo and they're going to buy 500 shares every 30 seconds. Or there's a million different variations to customize algorithms. That's just one of them. So from NVIDIA, let's jump to Tesla. All of these banana stocks that have just been going absolutely insane. So we're chopping around. We're back down into this range of the 315 level. So I can put a pivot around here. So we're holding this pretty decently well, I guess you could say. It's only been 2 days. We had a bounce above that level, and now we're trading higher. Tesla had a few rockets launched. Not a few. I think they had one rocket launch yesterday. But it was their heaviest payload, and it was a success. So it's just, like, technologically speaking, it's just incredible what this guy's doing. On an investment standpoint, I don't think the multiples that Tesla trades at now are realistic. I think there's definitely room for the stock to pull back and still provide some incredible growth. I just don't think $327 or whatever it is right now, $316.59 is a great price to buy. Obviously, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So, you know what I mean? If you're trying to sink up some capital and buy at these inflated highs, go for it. Would not be my recommendation because you can see the last 3 years it traded flat here in this range. So something to keep an eye on. Wanted to pull up the euro over the dollar. We talked about this yesterday, I believe, and spot on with the analysis again. We're back into the 110s. We've cracked the highs of the gap up when Trudeau won. So we're now trading into unfamiliar territory over the last couple of months. So let's see what type of price discovery we get. If we can get above maybe 11.5, 111.5, that would be a great level, a great sign of strength that investors want to take the euro higher. Obviously, the dollar has been not doing so well the last couple of weeks, last couple of months even. I think that has to play into the whole Trump effect again. I know I keep saying Trump, 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 but the president really does have a pretty impactful role that is played with the stock market, and that is in asset prices and currency prices, commodity prices. It's all related. It's all a big circle. So let's pull up the SPYs real quick, just to give you a view. So we posted brand new highs again, and we have traded lower, and we tested that pivot, the high pivot, I should say. We're trading there pretty decently right now. So let me pull up a chart, pull up a 5-minute. So if you can see where we at today, we had a gap up higher, and then we traded right back down to that range. And look at that, we're just oscillating around that $240 level. So another reason it's very important to keep track of levels. Stocks always test previous levels in kind of strange, freaky fashion. It's almost weird when stocks will play out that well to a certain level. Something to keep an eye on, guys. These are very fascinating markets. It almost makes me feel like it's time to go big. It's time to really start pushing the envelope, because it doesn't seem like this momentum higher is going to give up. Be vigilant, stay active, make sure you're on your tippy toes, make sure you're able to get in and out. You want to have as much flexibility as possible. If there are any questions, guys, please shoot them down below. Any recommendations for stocks to cover as well, comment them. If I messed anything up, if I said anything stupid or wrong, I do these videos one attempt, so obviously sometimes I'm going to say some wrong things. Comment those down below. Would love to shit on you for your criticisms. If not, all the snowflakes and bag holders out there, appreciate you watching. Why don't you go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. If not, I will be back with you guys first thing tomorrow morning to run through a pre-market edition for the 17th of May. Take care, guys. Build the wall. Lock. What is up, guys? It's Josh with JF Trading. Hope the day is going well. I am just getting going. It is 7:38 here on May 17th. Going to run you through a couple names pre-market. I had a few people recommend I check out AOBC. Pretty interesting chart, actually. I thought this was a penny stock for some reason. I guess it's not. It has one of those tickers. But I'm going to just run through some analysis real quick. I'm going to do some fib extensions. So if you come from the low to the high to the low, we can see that the stock has traded above the 78.6 retracement. And if you kind of break it down to the daily, you can see how it respects these levels pretty well. And this was us looking at the monthly, and it just so happens that the daily plays out this smoothly. But if you can see, we are trading about halfway to the 100 mark. The 78.6 is a big level. If you want, you could even come in here and let me see. Let's pull this out to a weekly chart. Actually, no, we got this covered. So I guess you could come in here even and do a fib analysis, maybe even on the 5-minute. Let's run one from the bottom over here to the top down to the bottom. So if you can see with that micro fib analysis, we're trading closer towards the 23.6 retracement. And if you bring it out towards the daily, you can see some of the overlap. It's kind of hard to see now. Bad example. I'm going to remove that. So if you guys can see, this thing's trading relatively flat. Speaking on a relative basis, it hasn't really been doing much. Not too certain on what the fundamentals of the company are. American outdoor brands, I'm assuming Under Armour and all that kind of Under Armour. Outdoor World and all that stuff. Can't really speak this morning, guys. Haven't had enough coffee. But from AOBC, I mean, I'd watch out for the highs over here of like $23. So if we can crack above that, good sign. If we get below 22, it's not a great sign. So from AOBC, let's jump over to BlackBerry, which had a pretty big day yesterday. This is also a pretty bag holdery stock. You can see we had a low at 924 up to a high of 1040. So pretty big move for a small stock like this. Pull out to a monthly chart, get a much better view of what's going on. This looks like the banks did when they were breaking out during the Donald Trump election. Not entirely sure the fundamentals behind BlackBerry. I know they have seen declining market share in the phone segments. Not entirely sure what their big breadwinner is right now, but if we can keep above the 10s, I think that's a very great sign. Volume's up as well, and we're above 10 right now, and we haven't corrected or traded back down into the 9s. So let's see if we can hold this $10 level. That'd be a great sign for strength in BlackBerry. AMD's down. AMD's actually down with the biggest volume right now, pre-market. Let's see how much it's traded so far. It's traded 635,000 shares, and it's down 5 1/5%. Interesting little shakeout move. Nvidia is not really reacting, but if you can see, AMD has just had this run. Like, it's just freaking unbelievable. And this is what you're seeing in a lot of these dead pop stocks and assets like gold and crude.
I'll pull up those in a second. But if you can see, we're actually trading down back towards the low 12s here. So we're off the highs of 13. Man, you could have gotten a great short early this morning around, or last night. I mean, you could have gotten a great short at the top. Interesting play. This is an HFT battleground stock, so make sure you don't jump in full size. Make sure you know what you're doing when you trade these stocks. It's very important. You can get chopped up real bad. I want to show you guys crude though. Crude is dead cat, well, not crude, it's dead cat bouncing, but it's bouncing again off of this pivot. So it's held it yesterday, and now we're trading back up. Gold's doing the same thing, but gold's just straight up. Gold is running. It had a pop yesterday, and it's kind of really seeing that full flush to the upside now. Let's see if we can get towards the 1255 level to break this middle fan. But we've come full circle. Gold is relatively strong again. I think it's in favor now, as well as the markets are back towards the highs. So let's see how that plays out. Not entirely sure what we do this morning in the SPYs. We're trading lower. So keep an eye out, guys. I really doubt we trade high or above the highs with all of these Trump rumors going on. So stay small, stay sane, don't lose your money. Appreciate you watching, guys. If I did anything wrong, please comment down below. If you'd like to recommend a stock, also comment down below. If not, I will be back with you guys after the bell around about 3:40, 4:40, 3:45. So stay tuned, guys. Appreciate you watching. Hope you have a good day. Build a wall. What is up, traders? It is Josh back with JF Trading. Hope everything is going well. I know it's a fucking crazy market today. This morning we're down pretty drastically. The Dow's down 300 points. The SPYs are down a couple hundred as well, almost 1.5%. Basically everything's red across the street. I have a picture of the heat map up currently. We're only really seeing some pops to the upside and some REITs. Both diversified and undiversified, and also some just personal products and a few consumer retailing stocks like JCPenney's up for some weird reason, and a few others. Utilities and electrics are both up. But very, very interesting day in the markets. We have cracked a number of levels in the SPYs just in one trading session. A number of levels in one trading session, just to highlight how quick things can go bad once investors really start heading for the hills and start panicking. And I think this is a little bit of what's happening right now with Trump. All of these Russia back and forth with Comey and all this stuff is causing a lot of instability, I think. If you can see, we cracked 1, 2, 3, and we're almost to the 4th level. It really is just an incredible move down. So we've cracked this 240 level. We cracked the 238.5. We've cracked this level over here at 236, and now we're trading actually at that level right now, the 236.49. If I can extend this to the right here, I can show you. See, look at that. We're trading perfectly to this one pivot on this doji from a couple weeks ago, and I believe this was the pop on the French election. So markets are always keeping track of relevant levels. We're back to this level here. We have some decent support. We're stepping into a couple of bids here. We're bidding a little higher. We're hitting a bottom, I think. I don't know. No one knows. I definitely don't like the markets long anymore. This has absolutely been a confirmation to the short side, or if not, even just a confirmation down to a lower trading range. I think we were right there. You know what I mean? We had the opportunity to make that pop, but we didn't. So very interesting what's going on. Crude has bounced, and gold. Guys, if you've been following my videos every day, you guys know that I'm on the money with gold. Look at this. We had a big pop in gold. I was able to identify this pivot down here at the bottom, which was clearly a bottom with that wick. And we are, excuse me guys, I have the wrong thing selected. But we are able to now put a pivot down here. I could have done it a couple days ago, but we're bouncing. And we're back towards the middle fan. And I think that's an amazing sign. I did not necessarily think we'd get this hard of a bounce. We're up on very above average volume, if you can see down here. We're trading almost to 400,000 contracts. That's pretty big. Pretty big deal. So interesting day with gold. Let me just double check, make sure that was the right volume. It's actually 40,000 contracts. No, it's 400,000. Excuse me. What am I talking about? Very interesting. This is just gold futures ETH. This is the June expiration. So interesting markets. I'll pull up crude real quick. We have bounced, and we're still holding this pivot from a few months ago. We're trading flat, relatively speaking. We're waiting for news out of OPEC. I believe it's on Thursday. So that is the reason for this the sideways movement in crude. To talk about the VIX, I know you guys, all the bag holders love VIX. It's a fascinating little instrument to kind of keep track of volatility.
So we've had a pop after, all the bag holders were on TV talking about how the VIX has never been this low, blah, 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 buy, sell, 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 sell. No one really knows. No one really trades the VIX. If you meet anyone that does trade the VIX, I'd be very I would question their knowledge and their abilities to make money in it. It's a very, 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 very hard stock to make money in. Most of the times, more times than not, I'd even argue 90% of the time it's used to just hedge. You have a lot of big institutions that'll take back a lot of the vol risk and will write a number of options in the VIX, both the upside and downside, depending on their views of the market. So big move in the VIX. We'll get CNBC to forget about that for now until we get the next big push up in the markets. Notable stock in the news was Micron. Micron's down pretty significantly. A lot of these tech plays, a lot of the chip companies have been getting beat up. They've been running a lot, but today was a big down day for a lot of them, AMD included. I think AMD's down, AMD's down, almost 12% now. Very ugly chart. So if you can just see this run, just psychologically imagine what happened here. Think about who moves the stock. It's not you or I. It's not the retail investor buying 1,000 shares. It's the guys who own the fundamental outstanding shares of the security, and they're able to manipulate them in legal ways to get out of positions. And I'm guaranteeing that's what they were doing. They were bidding AMD up along next to NVIDIA's earnings, and then boom, we shake out at the next big or the first big market correction. And that's a big move. A 12% move in $11 stock is not pretty, and that hurts a lot of people. Obviously, it's very smart to stay on your toes and be active, but a lot of people aren't. So it puts people into an interesting little pickle. BABA, same kind of deal. We're all popping on highs, and then we're just gapping down pretty significantly. So we're having an inside day today. Could be a good confirmation for a sell, but I feel like it's a little overblown right now. A little too much volatility in the market, so let's kind of hold back. Let's let the market confirm our thesis. Let's not chase. Let's not predict. Let's react. It's the nice saying that I like to put out into the world. Make some nice positive karma and energy. What did I cover? I covered the SPYs. I covered crude. I covered gold, Micron, AMD, NVIDIA. Let's see what else is on the list right now. Let's just run through Mankind real quick. For all the bag holders out there who haven't heard from me a little bit. So we had like a 20% pop yesterday. I know StockTwits was lighting up, and now we're back down almost 10% here. The stock is going to go below $1 again. I'd be willing to bet. Obviously, I'm not willing to put my money where my mouth is because this thing has the potential has the history of running. So you got to be careful with these short squeezes. RGB, I think Red Robin. Is this Red Robin stock? Yeah, big pop on earnings and a short squeeze. This thing is the biggest, one of the bigger movers of the day. So reported decent earnings this wasn't even earnings. It's just a flat out short squeeze. So, wow, that's quite the move. So we're back up towards the $67, $68 level. If we can trade above and continue into the 70s, mid-70s, I think 74 plays some big resistance. So keep an eye out, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Tried to keep it a little short. Did not do a good job. If I messed anything up, please comment down below. If you'd like to request a stock, please also comment those down below. If not, I will be back with you tomorrow morning to run you through the markets, pre-market. Let's hope the selling doesn't continue. Let's see if we get a bounce. But who knows where we head from here, guys. Take care. Build a wall. Lock her up. Good morning, guys. It's Josh with JF Trading. Hope everyone had a nice night. We are back here this morning with some weakness in the overall markets. The SPYs are trading lower. We are down again after that pretty big down day we had yesterday off of some of the Trump news. A lot of investors don't think his agenda is going to be that easily deployed, so they're kind of they're selling stocks in anticipation of a very hard time in the Senate and the Congress. So let's keep an eye on the SPYs as they trade lower. The next relevant level would be anywhere from the 235.78 point to the 234.30 level. Those are pretty big support levels. They've kept track of the overall markets for quite some time right now, and we're actually even coming up on to one of the fibs. So this 38.2 Fibonacci retracement is keeping into account all the way from the lows of 2008. So this is the macro trend line right here. So this is a big level to watch out for, as well as the level right below, which is obviously 233.27. When you're watching the stock market like this, especially the SPYs, you always want to make sure you're keeping an eye on relevant levels. Always keep track of your ranges and your pivots. It's always important to see because a lot of times these stocks will continue to track these relevant levels, months or even years into the future. So
interesting with that, crude is having a slowly trending higher moment here. We are popping above the close of yesterday and we are selling off. However, we are trading above the levels of yesterday. Obviously nothing too crazy right now, a little bit of sideways action, but we're holding this pivot here at 47.80. That's a good sign in my opinion because that comes from the lows of March, back a few months ago. So we're oscillating back towards the middle of this yearly trading range that we've been in. I think we see 50 bucks relatively soon. If you can see, I have the blue dotted line here to kind of to highlight that. It's obviously a big level as well, super psychological level. My feeling is it gets just a big pop through it on some news. Doesn't necessarily trade through that during the day. It's going to take some sort of catalyst to kind of ram it through that level, in my opinion. A lot of the times, a lot of the firms like to quote stuff, and they stuff their offers around certain whole numbers. So that's the reason I mentioned that. Gold's having incredible run. If you guys have been long gold, you've been making money. Making good money, to say the least. So gold is trading above this middle fan here. We are trading towards the top of the range we were at yesterday. We're holding this fan, so that's a good sign. So the gold commodity likes, or gold investors like it higher. Excuse me, haven't had my coffee this morning. So relevant levels, keep an eye out for 1265, and then all the way up to 1291 would be the following. Obviously, if we crack the 1291, we're going to 1300, so that could be the next level around 1310. Gold has been trading opposite of the SPYs, or opposite of the markets the last few days, so that's good to see that they have decoupled and have begun trading in their own regard. Let's pull up a couple of stock tweeters for all the Mankind bag holders out there. Let's see what I'm missing. Baba, Walmart, SPYs, Baba. Zillow, 18 recommendation homes. All right, so Baba, big down day yesterday, huge inside day, and we cracked below the range of the last 2 days even. So that's a big bear sign. That's a big bullish or bearish, indicator that the stock could pull back quite drastically. So keep an eye on it. It could be a good time to buy. You know what I mean? I'm not too sure how you like to invest, how you like to trade. It's always nice to pull or buy on pullbacks. It's a great strategy for winning. So Baba's been decent. The next level to look out for, in my opinion, is right here. So if we crack the highs of this at 120, then the selling is on, baby. And this thing has the history of selling off pretty drastically, anywhere from like $40 to $50 moves. So and something to very, very keep an eye on, and it's an overall indicator of the Chinese economy. Excuse me, I have a very loud speaker this morning. So Walmart, you can zoom out on the monthly. You can kind of see what we've been doing. We've been trading in this relatively, poorly defined range here, anywhere from 40 to 765, and then we kind of popped above that, traded in a different range, then popped and then sold, and now we're kind of just floating around in no man's land in these middle ranges right here. Not a very attractive position for this stock or multiple. I would not be a buyer. I'm holding back. I want to see this thing come back to maybe 65, 60. Then I feel more comfortable buying. Walmart's obviously Walmart. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Whether or not they continue to make money in the fashion that they are is a different story. But it is Walmart, so it's definitely some safety in the name. Great dividend as well. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's like 4%. Don't quote me on that. I could be completely wrong. So yeah, if you guys want to keep an eye out for the SPYs, the Baba, Walmart, it's going to give you an overall feeling of the strength of the economy, I suppose you could say, without taking into account some of the GEs, the Fords, and all these big stocks that run shit in America. But I'm going to leave you with a picture of the SPYs here, guys. We're trading 235.82 was the close yesterday. We are down to 235, so we are down another buck. In the SPYs, still some weakness. Let's see if we hit a bid and start to pop and bounce. Not too sure if that'll happen, but it is best to keep an eye out, guys. Stay sane. We did some massive volume yesterday in the SPYs. If you guys can see that, I forgot to note that. Traded well, 170 something million shares. So that's quite the move, quite the volume. Indicates full size opportunities. If you see them, hit them. There's liquidity in the markets, guys. Take advantage of it, and good luck. Best traded, guys. If I messed anything up, please comment down below. If you'd like to recommend a stock, also comment down below. If not, I will be with you guys in a couple hours for tonight's episode after the market. Cheers, guys. Build the wall.
What is going on, guys? It is Josh back with JF Trading. Hope the day is going well. It is a brutally hot day here in New York. Just want to make sure all of my sensitive types, the millennials, NAFTA, liberals, snowflakes, SJWs, want to make sure you're avoiding the city today. Very unhealthy for sensitive groups. Might as well just stay away. But in regards to the overall markets, having a better day than we did yesterday, that's for damn sure. We are having an inside day to the big 3% correction we had on the close of yesterday. We are trading back above the 236.5 pivot line right here, as you can see. We are regaining some territory to the upside. If you can see, we had the SPYs fill this gap yesterday down here on this end. Looks like we have found a relative bottom, so you could put a pivot right there. Definitely a level to keep an eye on if we hold that. So now we have multiple levels coming up. So we're coming up on 1, 2, even 3 levels right now. So let's see where investors take the overall markets. I actually stepped into a couple of calls. I bought a few contracts this morning, saw the bounce, was able to see it, was able to get a decent price. So I'm long just a couple options, just a small lot, nothing big. Just trading, man, I'm trading like a quarter of the size I usually do. Not doing anything compared to that. What's up, Andrew? So interesting markets. We're seeing we're seeming a little bit more bullish this morning or this afternoon. We're coming into the close. We're about halfway through the trading range of the day. Let's see what's overall not too much happening though. We're trading above average volume, I should say. So that's something worth noting. We're above the 74, 75 million shares average over the last 50 days. That's a good sign, and it's to the upside. It would have been a nightmare if it was to the downside again. We would have seen a lot of stocks correcting from their highs. But then again, I feel like that's what I want. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants these bargains to kind of come back into the market. Everything's at the highs, so it's hard to keep up with these multiples. Excuse me. So let's jump over to Baba. Baba is having a weird day. So we reported earnings and we gapped down pretty freaking significantly, and we are trading up. It is a weird one. This was by far one of the weirder ones. If you can see, so this was this morning at 7 a.m. So the first prints, for the most part, first half hour of prints, and only 66,000 or 62,000 shares got fired off at these levels. So only a couple of people got these prices on the short side. They were able to cover, I'm sure, somewhere in the middle of the day. But it's a good sign that we had this big gap down in the pre-market trading this morning, and then we kind of just recovered throughout the day. We're finishing green. So we dumped how many dollars? 23, so what, $7, something like that, $8 almost, and we are back up recovering from those losses. It's Alibaba, it's the Amazon of China. Not too sure the comparables. I'm sure on a technical and fundamental level they are comparable to Amazon. I'm sure Amazon's way bigger, but nonetheless they are that sort of retailer in China. Obviously a great bet, and honestly this could be the best buy signal that I've seen all year in this stock. The fact that it reported not terribly poor earnings, but relatively poor earnings. Let's see what the actual was. The actual estimate was 73, and they posted 63. So they lost. They missed by 10 cents. And to see the stock recover and finish the day green, hopefully, we still have 30 minutes left. That's a phenomenal sign. Keep an eye out for that, guys. Let's do this GLYC. Not entirely sure why this is in the news. Glycomed. So we are up big. I'm just going to say there is an FDA rumor or there's a takeout offer. I'm not even really sure. Let's look at this. Yeah, it could be either. I'm not sure. I'm taking this from a purely technical level, so don't take my analysis for word to heart. This is a Glycomed. This is some sort of biotech pharma company. So I bet you it has something to do with the FDA or perhaps some restrictions being lifted on previous sanctions, or drugs, I should say. So keep an eye out for Glyc. It is cracked a bunch of levels on the weekly chart. If you pull this out, you can see how we've popped above this range that we've been trading in for the last 4 years. So we are in uncharted territory. Let's see where this thing heads. But then again, it's a biotech, so we're up 100%. I'm not too sure this thing follows through to the upside. But if you're crazy enough and dumb enough to buy it, go for it. You're probably already long in mankind, so I can't really tell you not to. Let's see, one more issue. Let's talk about gold real quick. Gold has had an interesting day. This is the weekly chart, excuse me. Let me drop over to a daily. So we had that big run up yesterday on the overall market sell-off, and now we're trading down a little bit. We're trading about half the range of yesterday. We're getting some more favorable levels for those who are looking to buy. I personally think gold is going to be the safe haven over the next couple of years, just with the instability that Trump is bringing, and a lot of his agenda. People aren't even really sure if that's going to be enacted or passed. So I think that's why the market sold off hard yesterday. We had Steve Mnuchin on the Hill today, and he was talking about some of the tax plans. So I think that's why we have a general bump in the markets, and then a obvious correction here in gold. I feel like in times of political tension like this, when markets go up, gold goes down. It's kind of an inverse relationship. That's just my 2 cents. It's not scientific or anything like that. It's just the feeling I get. My gut feeling, I guess you could say. So let's jump over to crude. Last issue. Crude has been doing its thing. We are trading higher, and we've actually been testing this lower fan, this lower fan today, if you can see here. We're coming up right on this level. It's real tight. It's funny when this stuff happens because it's obvious that investors are looking at the same levels. So let's see if we get that pop through. Not anticipating it right away. Oil markets are closed. However, they do open pretty early tomorrow or in the middle of the night. I'm not even really sure, to be honest. So keep an eye out for crude. Anything above $50 is a great sign. It's obviously right at that level right now. Not entirely sure if it gets it one shot through. We could get a big pop or big dump to the downside. So anything's possible, guys. Keep an eye out. Hope you enjoyed the video. I try to run through as many asset classes as I can: crude, gold, SPYs, a couple of stocks. Hope you enjoyed the analysis. If there's any recommendations, comment down below. Any suggestions or I messed anything up, also please let me know that down below. If nothing else, I will be back with you tomorrow morning for a pre-market run through on Friday, May 19th. Guys, have a great day. Kill the close. Best of luck. See you tomorrow. Cheers. What is up, guys? It's Josh back with JF Trading. I am late to the game this morning. Had a few too many drinks last night for my brother's graduation. Shout out, Andrew. Congrats. I'm going to run you through a couple of names this morning in the markets. We're trading flat off of the bounce we had yesterday. Going to run you through a few names before I jump into the overall markets. If you guys can see up on the screen right now, is AMAT. If you can see that run we've had from 15 to 45, just straight up, quite the move. We are gapping higher this morning. We are trading at 46. We traded at 46 for 1 point last night. We are now back down around the $45 level right now, but this stock has been straight up. We've seen constant momentum. This is one of those semiconductor, technology type of like manufacturing equipment, services, softwares to semiconductors, displays, and related industries worldwide. So it's a tech stock. Tech stocks have been incredibly in favor over the last couple of months. You can see all of the major tech stocks are at all-time highs. This one's got a little bit ways, $10 to go, but it's almost there. The fact that we haven't really had a significant pullback over the last, 2 years is pretty significant if you ask me. I think the biggest pullback we saw was maybe 9%, 8%. So quite the move. You can see we're extended past these trend lines here. So that signals that, for the last how many years? 20 years. The stock has been in a relatively flat range, skewed minorly to the upside. If you can see this thing slowly trending higher. But this could be the opportunity to break that cycle, break the trend. We're trading now above this pivot line, which is something that's only been done once back in 1999. So let's see how far this thing can run. It's always smart to keep an eye out on the monthly levels, guys. This is the daily chart. You can really get lost in the noise, especially from the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Doesn't really give you a picture of where the stock's been, where it could go. Let's put up Deere and Company and make some tractors. They're actually gapping up pretty significantly this morning as well. We closed yesterday at $113, and we're going to be opening somewhere around 120. So quite the move higher. Posted some very favorable earnings. They were expecting $170, got $250. So quite the beat. John Deere, or Deere and Company, I should say, has beat their earnings pretty significantly, and they are gapping up above some pretty significant levels as well. So if you see, we're going to be at the all-time highs. The stock has never been higher ever before in the history of its existence, and it goes back quite a while. So we're going to be trading around the 120 level, which is above this trend line over the last 50 days, and that's only happened twice. Let's see if the momentum can maintain itself and continue the trend higher. Volume has been surprisingly down in the monthly, though, which is interesting since given the run that we've had. So maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe they bought back some shares and the pool shrunk a little bit. I don't think that's the case, but you never know. So keep an eye out on Deere this morning, guys. Could get some real nice moves, clean moves to the upside or the downside. It's $123 though, so it's a little bit more pricey. So from Deere, let's jump over to CRM. CRM also reported earnings after the bell yesterday and had a big shakeout candle, if you guys can see that. Big shakeout. So we had that big pop up, we had the big run down, and then we're kind of just trading flat towards the middle here. We're actually back up a little bit. We closed at $87.50, and now we're gonna be opening somewhere around 90. So decent move to the upside. We're gapping back up to these highs right here. Let's see if we can crack that 90.28 and start a new trend higher, or let's see if we toss around maybe in between this gap here to be filled. Not entirely sure what happens. Let's see how that plays out. We had some extra volume yesterday on the daily. We've cracked maybe almost double of what we did the day before, and then a few days prior. So the volume is strong within this name. People are to keeping an eye out for what exactly is happening in CRM. I remember a few months ago, or maybe it was last year, I forget when it was exactly, where the whole Twitter rumor happened. I think it might have been this bar right here, where they said that CRM was buying Twitter. It could have been, yeah, it was last year actually. That was what, somewhere around here. Regardless, it's an interesting stock to keep an eye on. It's one of those very favorable tech stocks. But let's jump into the SPYs, guys, just to give you a feel where we're at right now. So we had a bounce off of that pivot around the 235.84 level. You can see on the 1 minute we're trading a little flat, a little higher. Closed at 236.73. We're going to be opening about maybe a little less than $1 higher. So the strength has continued. We had a dead cat bounce yesterday. I think that had to do with a lot of the earnings that were being reported. So in a generally shitty market, we had a bunch of stocks beat earnings. So the stocks ran higher. And I think a lot of those stocks that are comprised in the indexes were obviously the ones that had earnings and they went up. So the stock market went up. So I'm not entirely sure this is an actual real move higher here. Could be a bounce just in earnings. Let's see how it plays out today in the open market. If we get an immediate sell-off, then that'll give you a good sign of I think I was right in that regard, that it was earnings. But the next relevant level you really have to watch out for is 238.50. We're about $1.50, $2 away. We'll probably be $1 away from the open, or at the open, I should say. So let's see if we crack this pivot, this pivot, and then we got a couple more to the upside, and then it's uncharted territory. So let's see how far these markets run. They have the potential, they have the news, they have the abilities, they have Donald Trump at the helm. So really anything can happen. If you guys can see crude, we bounced off the lows, traded towards this pivot, and now we are back above the bottom fan. And the relevant pivot to the upside right here would be this guy right here. So if I extend this to the right, you can see, look at that, we're trading perfectly with it around the 50, just above $50, around 40-30, or 50-30, 50-40. So let's see if we get some strength through that continuing continuing trend line. I'm not entirely sure that we get that, but that's a big level for sure. So let's see if crude stays above 50 today. That's obviously the big level. Excuse me, that was embarrassing. Go to GC. Gold had had a weird day yesterday. So we had a big pop on the stock market, 3% correction a few days ago, and then the stock market was up relatively speaking. So gold sold off a little bit, and now we're kind of just bouncing here. So I'm going to put a pivot so we can keep track of these levels. Boom, boom, boom. So let's keep an eye on whatever this is, 1245.80. It's definitely a level of some bounce. Got a little bit of bounce right there. It's an ugly line. Let me fix that up for you guys. Boom. Boom. So yeah, the 1240 level, it's obviously a point to keep an eye on. It's a level of support without a doubt. Let's see if we continue higher, if we trade one-on-one with crude and the overall markets. Don't know if that's the thing. Don't know if we're going to couple back up with the markets, but you never know. So it's always best to keep an eye on gold, crude, SPYs, maybe some overall trending stocks. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope this covered it all. This is my last video for the week. Hope you enjoyed. I'm going to have a couple of videos for you next week, but I'm going to Europe, so I might do an update over there. I'm not sure, but you might be without me for a few weeks. All the best, guys. Best trading. Good luck. Stay in your hands. Build the wall. Everything. Best of luck. Comment down below if I messed anything up. Suggestions, stocks, yada, yada, yada. Thanks, guys. Cheers. What is going on, guys? It is Josh back with JF Trading. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. I kept it pretty calm myself. Didn't really do much. Did some charting. Hung out with some friends, some family. Saw the parents. It was a good time. I'm here to run you through a couple of stocks. Pre-market, we were having an interesting market right now, to say the least. Relatively flat. A lot of news going on, though, in the world right now. We have Trump overseas. Trump just signed a $100 billion weapons package for Saudi Arabia. A lot of issues going on now with the defense stocks. Those are in play. A lot of really big runners that have gapped down pretty tremendously. This is obviously one of them. LJPC, La Jolla Pharmaceutical. is one of those sinister, horrible dry ship stocks, reverse split pop, reverse split plop, reverse split pop. So if you can see, if you guys have been paying attention to this sucker, we ran from 28 bucks to 35 in a day, and now we're back down to about 29.50 right now. So we're coming full circle. I'm sure a lot of people got hurt here. Hopefully not too many of you were trading this. This is always one of those issues where you get blown out of the top, and things can go south very fast, very fast. It doesn't even leave you room with time to get out, which is the scary part. So imagine buying up here the 35s yesterday, or excuse me, on Friday, and now you're waking up to some pretty brutal losses. I had one of my viewers reach out and recommend that I cover Corning, and this is obviously a stock that I keep track of pretty regularly, but I obviously haven't looked at it in a while on the monthly chart. And if you can see, this is exactly the setup that Bank of America was in pre-Donald Trump election. If it wasn't for his W, for the win that he pulled out, I don't necessarily think that we traded higher like that we did in bank. So if you can see, this big green bar up here is the bar that I'm talking about. Obviously, the frequency of this chart's much narrower. But if you can see, we kind of came up on this $20 level. We had some sort of technical, fundamental reason to push us higher, and we got pushed higher. So let's see if this is the case in Corning. I definitely think this is a great setup. It's actually a great opportunity to even buy some options. I'm usually an options writer, but these are the types of setups, if we were able to trade near this $30 level for some time, would give me some confidence to buy a number of these options, see if you can't play Corning into the 40s and 50s over the next maybe 6-7 months. I definitely think a stock like this could be in favor, relatively speaking to other industries. We've been trading sideways for the most part of this year. No benefit to the Trump bump in the early Novembers of 2016. So this stock is still waiting to get out of bed. Corning, they're still trying to figure out what exactly it's going to take for them to get back up into that $40 to $50 level. Obviously, that's some real big uncharted territory. We haven't been there since basically the turn of the century in the 2000s. So Corning GLW is a great stock to keep an eye on. Great call, Mahdi, I believe it was. Great call. Thanks for bringing my attention to this. I'm obviously going to keep a very close eye on it. Let's pull up some defense stocks. Let's go Lockheed. Lockheed's got such an incredible chart. If you bought this thing at any point over the last 10 years, you made money, except for maybe around here in this little range. But again, Donald Trump signing this big aid package in regards to weapons. So all the defense stocks are up big. Raytheon's gapping up 6%. Lockheed's gapping up 3 3/4, I should say. So the defense stocks are back in favor. They're back in the news, which kind of scares me, kind of doesn't. But we'll see how these stocks handle this sort of pressure. But if you can see, we've been very strong. We've been trading towards the high end of this range for quite some time. We're actually above it now, which is a statistically significant move in terms of deviations. But in regards to defense stocks, it's best to keep an eye on those. Obviously, with all the tension in the Middle East right now, there's going to be a lot of he said, she said. So keep your senses, keep your eyes on Lockheed, Raytheon, Leidos, all these big contractors. These are the guys that make the money, that get the contracts from the government. But Ford's gapping down a little this morning here. Nothing crazy, but Ford's actually been in a lot of the car manufacturers have been out of favor for quite some time now. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the move. Excuse me, we're gapping higher. I don't know what I'm saying. We're gapping lower. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the logic behind that move. I want to say it has something to do with rising interest rates, and that the loan and the credit departments at a lot of these car institutions are not able to make as much money off of leasing. Don't take my word for that. That's just kind of my foresight. I have a feeling that a lot of the low interest rates situations is going to come back and bite a lot of the car manufacturers, the retailers, the ones who take on large amounts of debt that don't necessarily have very marketable products, I guess you could say. Very, very variable priced products. So a retailer has clothing, a car dealership has cars. So how liquid are those products? You tell me. But in regards to the overall markets, guys, where we're at. We actually finished the week last week almost unchanged. We were within 1% or 2%. So it seemed like a lot of volatility, but we bounced right back to some recent levels, and we're kind of just flat. So there's such a two-sided market right now. There's so many guys on the long side, and there's so many guys on the short side. They're just trying to load up to figure out when's the right time to really smack it. But this morning, let's see what we're doing. Looks like we're trading flat, if not a little higher here, about 238.53. Let's see if this run continues or if investors will pull the SPYs back and continue us lower into that previous trend. A pivot to look out for is the 236.79 level. Obviously, it's going to test, hopefully, today the 238.71. If it does, then we're back into that high range of the 0.5% to 0.75% range at the top. And if we can crack that 240, then we can see new highs. But I don't see that happening without some sort of geopolitical announcement or some sort of catalyst to pull the markets higher. So keep an eye out, guys. Thanks for watching. If I messed anything up, comment down below. If you'd like to recommend any stocks, also comment those down below. If not, I will be back with you tonight or in a few hours with the aftermarket edition, guys. Best of luck trading. Don't go crazy. Sit on your hands if you have to, but make some money, guys. Be smart and keep your risk small. Cheers, guys. Build the wall. What's up, guys? Josh back with JF Trading. Hope the day is going well. Wow, we are bouncing. We are back towards the range we traded in for a couple of weeks prior, and we're right back to highs, guys. It's been quite the move, quite the bounce. We bounced directly off the 235 level, and we are now almost to 240. If you can notice, the volume we've traded on is very, very low, uncharacteristically low for this time in the day. We haven't even hit 50 million shares yet. That's very drastically low. Liquidity-wise, the stock market is not doing very well. The liquidity is down quite drastically. Not a lot going on. There really has not been a lot of trading to begin with. Let me tell you how many trades have been going on right now. There's been 120,000 individual trades fired off in the SPYs there, if you can see that. That's a very low number. It's obviously markets are a little weak right now. I hate to say weak. They're weak to the strong side. They're weak to the upside in the sense that there's not really enough crazy news going on for the markets to slam the bids and sell it low or back below that 236 level. We have Trump talking some decent decent business over in Saudi Arabia, signed that big weapons deal. A lot of people I figured had a more hawkish idea of what he was going to do over there. He's ending up being quite the opposite, actually. He's quite the dove. He's trying to broker some peace in the Middle East, which is something we desperately need, which is what we've needed for quite some time. So let's see if that'll be the catalyst that spurs us above the 240.67 level here in the overall markets. If you guys have been following around, if you've been following my analysis, you've been making money. Crude, dead bounce, straight back above 50. We are trading now at, almost $51. 58.98 right now. Markets are closed there, so don't expect too much action in the rest of the day on that regard. But if you can see, we're holding this level pretty significantly at the 50.84 level. So let's keep it above 50. Anything above 50 is a good sign, in my opinion. Gold, same kind of deal, same kind of bounce. It almost looks like we're trading 1-to-1 with crude. So if we can zoom in here and we can see that dead cat bounce off of 1220, and now we are trading back towards this range, which is let's pull that up for you. My goodness gracious, this chart is all messed up. I apologize, guys. So it's back towards the intermediate trading range it was in over the last few months back here in March, and that looks like a base of about 1245. So we're in the 1260s right now. Let's see if we can get a thrust on top of this middle fan right here that we're trading on, and then we're also coming up on another pivot level. So a lot of relative levels coming up. Don't expect too much volatility in the gold markets right now. I think all of this global tension right now has investors sitting on their hands trying to figure out what in the hell is actually going on and what is actually going to happen. So that's just an overall view of some of the main traders in the overall markets. Let's run through some names. Mankind, for all you bag holders out there, you're finally having a decent day. I'm hoping you had some massive size at the dollar level and you're selling it here. Obviously, the StockTwits community has been all over this one. We all know that. We had that triple bounce off of the dollar level. If you can zoom out, you can see it better. The dollar level, for anyone who's not an active trader, is an incredibly fun one to play. It gets super reserved, iceberg orders on both sides. Gets a very fakey, and clearly the stock bounce. So investors want Mankind to trade a little higher here. This is one of those cult stocks that I stay away from. I want nothing to do with this at the end of the day. It's had quite the track record. If you can see this, I've seen a lot of guys burn up accounts in this one. So be careful. I actually took a position in Virtue today. I invested in a couple $1,000s, a small position relatively speaking, but I like the onset of a more volatile market coupled with the consolidation of the high frequency trading business. Obviously, yields have shrunk tremendously in that business just because of the fragmentation in the market. Virtue and Citadel are obviously the two big boys. Virtue has been going around gobbling up a lot of small shops. They just recently acquired all of Knight Capital Group's shares for I think $20 a share, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I believe it was $20. But I think in 5-6 years, even sooner, I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we see two market makers that control whatever 45-50% of all of the volume in the market, and that's going to be Citadel and Virtue, in my opinion. So if you can see here, this pop that we had in this general area was on the news of them acquiring KCG. They sold off, and we're back down to this relative range around this 15.5 to 16 point. Could be a good long-term price to establish a position in. If you can zoom out to the monthly, you can see how we're kind of trading a little bit below the 50% inflection point. I'd even argue closer towards the 23.8. So this is, I'm not necessarily swinging massive size here. I've been slowly putting thousands away to kind of just save a little bit, starting to pick some stocks. I'll let you know how this plays out. I'll keep you in soon. Keep an eye on Virtue, though. They had a pretty poor quarter. They missed earnings pretty bad. Stock shrugged it off. And the way that I see it is when the markets are super volatile, these companies are going to kill it. Virtue, Citadel, Knight, all these big market makers make a lot of money when markets are very volatile. However, when they're not, their numbers go down pretty drastically, but the percentage yields and the multiples that are assumed on stocks like these don't really change quarter over quarter in a drastic way, which is something that really surprised me. I think their revenues were down something like 50-something%, and the stock's still trading at the same multiple for the most part. So that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. So to the downside, the multiple risk is very low, but to the upside, I think this is a stock that bids much higher in a volatile, choppy market where there's a lot of panic. So keep an eye on that, guys. Appreciate you watching. Hope the day went well for you. If you'd like to recommend a stock, please comment down below. If I messed anything up, also comment down below. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. I will be back with you tomorrow morning. Best of luck trading. It is May 22nd, 3:27 p.m. Best of luck, guys. Signing off. Cheers.